Have you heard about the global financial crisis that happened in 2008, where banks were left with a large amount of bad debt on their books because they had been lending money recklessly? The same fiasco is actually happening now, and I'm scared that a lot of people will be affected. Anyways, Nouriel Roubini talked about this problem, a credit crunch that will tip the US economy into a recession this year, and this is what we are going to discuss now. Oh, by the way, Nouriel Roubini is an economist and professor at New York University's Stern School of Business. Just adding that fact, because you might be curious about who he is. Well, anyways, in his speech, he immediately proceeded with saying this.
I think the worst is still ahead of us. The business model of many regional banks is broken. They have a narrow deposit base. They have a large amount of uninsured deposits. They had massive losses on their securities.
To understand this issue, we need to delve deeper into what these banks are, how they operate, and the challenges they face. Regional banks are financial institutions that serve a particular region or area. They are smaller than national banks and tend to focus on local customers and businesses. They offer a range of financial services such as checking and savings accounts, loans, mortgages, and credit cards. The problem with the business model of many regional banks is that they have a narrow deposit base. This means that they rely on a limited number of customers to provide them with deposits. As a result, they have a smaller pool of funds to lend out, which can limit their ability to make profits. In addition, many regional banks have a large amount of uninsured deposits. This means that if the bank fails, depositors may not be able to recover all of their money, just like how someone is buying a used car from a sketchy dealer. Sure, it may be a great deal, but there's always that nagging feeling that something could go wrong. But yeah, going back, this can make people hesitant to deposit money with these banks, which can further limit their deposit base. Another challenge that regional banks face is massive losses on their securities. This refers to the investments that the bank makes in stocks, bonds, and other financial instruments. If these investments perform poorly, the bank can suffer significant losses, which can impact its ability to lend and make profits. Moreover, the value of loans is falling. The bank's loan portfolio is one of its primary assets, and if the value of these loans decreases, it can impact the bank's overall financial health. The exposure to commercial real estate is another issue that plagues many regional banks. These banks often lend money to local businesses to purchase or develop commercial properties. If the local real estate market experiences a downturn, these loans can become riskier, and the bank may suffer losses. To make matters worse, many regional banks are now insolvent if they have to raise money. If their investments perform poorly, they can suffer significant losses. And if they become insolvent, they may have to close their doors permanently. This is one of the reasons why Nouriel Roubini is saying that the worst in terms of severe banking stresses is still out of a lot of people. Furthermore,
and of course, this credit crunch is going to reduce significantly economic growth. That credit crunch is going to tip the US economy into a recession later this year.
While Roubini continuously discussed the recession of the US economy, he also didn't forget to compare it to the 2008 Great Recession. Just a backgrounder, the 2008 Great Recession was a global financial crisis that began in the United States and lasted from December 2007 to June 2009. It was triggered by the collapse of the housing market, which led to a wave of defaults on subprime mortgages given to borrowers with poor credit histories. This wave of defaults caused a chain reaction that affected banks and investment firms worldwide. As a result, many of these firms were on the brink of bankruptcy, leading to a global financial meltdown. However, according to Roubini, the recession today is much greater than that of 2008, and here's why.
Well, compared to 2008, now we have inflation. At that time, we didn't have inflation.
During an economic downturn, such as the 2008 Great Recession or the more recent COVID-19 pandemic, many businesses and individuals may experience a decline in income or financial hardship. If inflation is also present, this decline in income is compounded by the fact that the cost of living is increasing. For example, during the 2008 Great Recession, inflation was relatively low, with an average rate of 2.3%. In contrast, the inflation rate during the COVID-19 pandemic has been higher, reaching a high of 5.4% in July 2021. This means that the cost of goods and services has increased more rapidly, making it more challenging for those experiencing financial hardship to make ends meet.
Well, among the households, there are those who are doing better off, but the bottom 50% of the household sector lives from paycheck to paycheck.
What Roubini is trying to say here is that half of the population is living with a financial situation where they have just enough money to cover their basic expenses until their next paycheck arrives. Imagine that half of the population is like a car running on fumes. They're just barely making it to the gas station before they run out of fuel. Oh no! This situation can be quite precarious because any unexpected expenses or emergencies could put them in a difficult position, as they do not have enough savings or financial cushion to fall back on. This statement implies that there is a significant income disparity between the top and bottom halves of the population, with the bottom half struggling to make ends meet. It highlights the fact that, despite a strong consumer economy, not everyone is reaping the benefits of economic growth and prosperity. Now, what can central banks do?
Well, right now they're in a trap because either they raise rates even more, and even today's inflation report suggests that core inflation is still at 5.6%, well above 2. If you raise more in order to fight inflation, you cause an economic downturn.
Here, Roubini says that the current economic situation is a delicate balancing act. On one hand, there is the need to control inflation, which is currently running high at 5.6%. On the other hand, there is the risk of causing an economic downturn by raising interest rates too high. This puts policymakers in a net trap where they have to weigh the consequences of their actions and make difficult decisions. If interest rates are raised too high, it can lead to a downturn in the economy. This can have several knock-on effects, one of which is an increase in non-performing loans. Non-performing loans are loans that are in default or are at risk of default. This happens when borrowers are unable to pay back their loans, either due to job losses, reduced income, or other financial hardships. When there is an economic downturn, more people are likely to default on their loans, leading to an increase in non-performing loans. This can cause financial stress in the banking sector, as banks have to deal with a growing number of bad loans. If the situation persists, it could lead to a banking crisis, which can have far-reaching consequences for the entire economy. It's understandable to feel worried and concerned about the possibility of an economic recession, especially when it's being predicted by experts like Nouriel Roubini. However, there are steps that you can take to prepare yourself financially and minimize the impact of a credit crunch. I know you can do this. You have been preparing all your life for your camps, assignments, parties, and all that. You got this. It's important to take a close look at your current financial situation. Take note of your income, expenses, and debts, and evaluate whether there are any areas where you can cut back on spending. It's a good idea to set up automatic transfers to your emergency fund each month to ensure that you are consistently contributing to it. Remember, it's important to remain calm and not panic during times of economic uncertainty. What do you think about this topic? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Finance Zoom channel. I'll see you in the next video.